I grew up in a small village in Warwickshire called Kyneton, somewhere in between Leamington and Stratford. And the first thing I can properly remember of my childhood, the first thing that comes back to me in dreams sometimes and in conversations, was the day that we got a television and the day the coronation was on. I was 3 years old, I think. I was coming up to my fourth birthday, but I was 3, and I had very bad eyesight, and I was very small. I had very blonde hair, and what I remember are bits. I remember that there were flags everywhere, lots of bunting on strings, but I remember holding a flag on a stick. It was one that you could sway like that, and you could really feel it. And imagine me 3 swinging this thing. It seemed like the biggest thing ever. It was a Union Jack. I remember that, and I remember doing that in our garden. We had a big privet hedge around the garden, and beyond the hedge was the main road. And if we went out of the gate, up the main road and turned right was King John's Road, and that's where the street party was. So I really remember the flag and the hedge and being indoors looking at this strange thing that was the television that had just arrived, and I had to stand that close to it. Because I must say, nobody knew at that time. I didn't know, but my parents realised then that my eyesight wasn't very good. But I remember seeing this glittering coach and white horses and music and clapping and horses' hooves and music, and that's it. I'd no idea what it was or what was happening or what television was, but I can still visualise that. I can see it and I can hear it in the back of my head. And I suppose I've seen TV images of the same thing later, which might have, but I do remember that experience of doing that. And where that was in the day, I don't know. What time was it? Was that before the party or after? Not sure, but it was part of it. But when we went up to the road, I think my sisters I had 2 big sisters, and they looked after me and my even smaller brother, who was probably in a pram at that time. So he was so small. My dad was the school head teacher. They had a primary school in Kyneton, and he'd come out of the war with a good record and was accelerated into teaching, and they were desperate. He got to be a head teacher quite quickly, and people liked him. He was okay. It was I didn't have to hide because I was the head son. But I was just in amongst the kids when we got to King John's Road. Long tables, more bunting, sit down on a bench, and just hilarity and other kids. There's Billy Richardson, who I used to fight with at school later on. I remember him running down the stairs at school, coming out of the front door, running down the stairs, and I held up my fist and he ran into it, and there was blood everywhere. So we were best friends. Billy Richardson, he was there, and I think Christopher Cox was there, but he might have been too young to really enjoy it. But it was just that sense of lots of other children, because I hadn't quite started school, but there were lots of other children. And it was really exciting to be with them all, and to be just with the children. The grown-ups were, when I try to picture it, the grown-ups are in the background, much fuzzier. Remember, I couldn't see very well, right? But it was that's how the memory is, that the adults were somewhere in the background, bringing plates across now and again or interfering. But mostly it was just us kids enjoying the jelly, and it's the jelly I remember, pink jelly, which was pretty delicious. But other scraps of things, bits of biscuits and sandwiches and cakes, bits of stuff, but and a general hubbub and noise and happiness. And it was that was so when people say street party, I'm back in King John's Road in Kyneton, and June. I mean, pretty soon afterwards I got even more excited because they climbed Everest, and that seemed even more important than the Queen, because the Queen was a bit mysterious and everything. But when my sister eventually died, a couple of years ago, I inherited quite a lot of things that she'd kept. And one of the things was this copy of The Echo South Warwickshire's County Chronicle, and the date on it is Tuesday, June the 2nd, 1953. And it says on it, "God save the Queen, long may she